Welcome to Seed 360, a Pioneer Seeds Australia podcast for everything in, on and around the seed. Today we're lucky enough to have Ben Vercoe, the Summer Crop Portfolio Manager, join us. So welcome, Ben, very special guest. I guess lead us into a little bit about what you do in the business and how we interact with you as well.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me on. It's a privilege and an honour. Portfolio manager in the summer crop space, it's a pretty dynamic role, the portfolio manager roles. I've been here about 18 months and you got touch points all the way across the business. You're involved in obviously the commercial sales side, dealing with the TSMs, regional managers on the ground. You're working with the production team, marketing, pricing. It's an interesting job. You definitely don't have too many days where you're rolling around to get the same thing happening over and over. So it's a good role.
Oh, great. And so how have you found your first couple of years? What have you found to be, like, I guess, different to where you've come from or what you've done in the past and what you found really exciting about Pioneer?
Look, it is a really unique business, I think. Probably the one thing that sticks out in my mind is when we talk about something, we talk about the quality and we hold ourselves to high expectations. We stand behind it. We want to deliver it. And I think a big part of that is the family ownership and their focus on delivering quality and not being able to push that to the side. It's never an option to take quality as a second round type thing. So
yeah, it's a cornerstone of the business, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Carrying on from, I guess, quality as a topic, but how do we come up with the next big hybrid or the next product? How does that process sort of evolve?
It's a long progress, and it's a little bit different depending on the hybrid. So I guess I'll probably start from the start. I mean, the portfolio role, I am closely aligned with the research, and a big part of that is making sure that we've got alignment from our commercial side back into research to deliver what's important for our customers. So we've got you guys out on the ground dealing with our customers in the day-to-day, bringing the feedback in, where are the gaps in what we're offering in our hybrids, where are the opportunities, what do we need to deliver, what do we need to improve in our germplasm to give a better result to our customers. So that's sort of the starting point, I guess, of where we are in the breeding program, delivering a new hybrid. From there, the breeding team, we've got Ivan breeding grain sorghum, we've got James in the corn space. They got their breeding objectives that are aligned to all of that. They know where they got to focus their time. They got to shape their breeding program to make sure we're always looking ahead at what's the next gap going to be, what's the next opportunity, drive from that side. So from there, they're bringing in germplasm from all over the world. From corn, we use germplasm from North America. We use it from Europe. We've got germplasm from that comes in via New Zealand. So we're really dynamic in where we pull from. Grain sorghum is pretty similar as well. So from a lot of different sites around the world to make sure we can really drive the hybrid vigour that we want to get in the field.
So we've got real global reach when it comes to germplasm, Ben, is that right?
Yeah. Absolutely. And we've got really good relationships with all the global breeders too. So we're unique in Australia that our environment is really unique, and not even just in Australia, but within the different states, and even broken down in the different regions in the states. It's so unique that we really do have to draw on germplasm from all over the place, then make the crosses here in Australia or make the new inbreds here in Australia to drive hybrids that are going to work in our environment. So yeah.
So we're actually specifically breeding hybrids for the Australian market, not just bringing in hybrids from elsewhere.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really good point to differentiate too. Often, growers see the Pioneer logo and they connect that to what's happening around the world. But to differentiate and show that we're breeding for the Australian market, I think is a really valuable part of our business, and it speaks to our commitment to the corn industry, particularly in Australia.
Yeah, for sure. And it's a big job. It's a huge investment, both in capital, to run the breeding program, have the equipment to run it, but staff as well. So, we've got across the country for grain sorghum, corn, canola, forage, our whole research program, including myself and Clint, in the portfolio roles, we've got 15 staff, and we're still growing. We're looking to put on more people to service more trials in more regions. So there's a lot of people there, and with people comes the equipment. We've got to have the right planting gear. We've got to have the right harvesting gear. We've got to have the right equipment to spray trials. The list just goes on and on.
Doesn't stop, does it?
It's great to be part of, though. To have the family ownership side of things that are just so invested and keen on research and knowing that research drives quality and research drives new and better hybrids all the time. If we don't have the data, it makes it pretty hard to make good decisions.
Yeah,
and I think that leads well into the next question, Ben. We get to the whole research process has gone along well, and let's say we're at the pre-release stage. How do we select for a new product to go out for commercial release? Hypothetically, we might have 4 products that all are of similar nature. How do we select the one that's next going to go to market in the Australian market to really give our growers the value they need?
Yeah, it's a good question. It starts really early. I mean, we're back in year 1 of seeing a new hybrid for the first time, so that breeders have brought the inbreds in. They'll see it in a couple of different sites to sort of make their decisions. And that could be, 1,000 hybrids at that stage. And every year we're cutting hybrids that don't make it for yield. It might be lodging, it might be grain size, it might be husk cover or whatever it might be depending on the crop. We're cutting hybrids all the time back down to the point where we get to pre-commercial, and at that stage usually the funnel is narrowed to a point where there's a standout, but we do often come across times where we've got a couple of really good hybrids in the same sort of segment. Got to make a decision, well, have we got room for 2 or do we need to push one out? And often it'll come down to a individual trait that might rule one out over the other. It could be a maturity piece. It could be an area that we're maybe not as strong. So this one has a better fit. There's sort of a lot of different scenarios. But by the time we get to that position, we've seen the hybrids over a number of seasons, up to 7 seasons or more. So we've seen it perform across different, it might be a wet year, a dry year, everything in between. We've seen it in multiple locations. Doing some numbers coming into this, and for grain sorghum, there's over 110 individual trials that a hybrid would have been in before it gets to that sort of hitting the market where a grower would see it on a larger scale. Corn is up close to 150 individual trials, and that's agronomic trials, that's phenology trials, that's just straight strike trials for yield. So there's a bit of everything to make sure that we're super comfortable with the decision we make at the end.
Well, it's sounds like a very comprehensive program. Have you got a name for that program, Ben?
Well, I've got a name for part of it.
Part of it.
We got, I guess, the yield and trait driving part of the strike trials, which they started well before I came on board, but are an integral part of our advancement and trialling process. They're essentially what drive the crux of our advancement year to year. We've got phenology trials and other extension trials and things that really are sort of they're a bit of the periphery type stuff that still adds value, but the strike trials really drive the main part of the advancement. Yeah,
look, I think strike is a really unique part of the Pioneer business across all crops. So I'm sure at some stage we'll dig more into strike and we'll bring more information to you about that.
Probably the only other thing I'll say about all the trials and data and things we're doing on that space is that data's great and lots of data is really good, but you got to know how to use it, and I think that's somewhere where we're really strong. Is we've got a broad network of people in different areas of the business that we come together to make a unified decision on advancements. It's not me sitting behind a computer and going, I like this one and yep, so this is what we're going to run with. It's by the time we make a decision on a hybrid, everyone's had a bit of input. We've seen it in the field. We've looked at the data in a whole bunch of different ways. We've broken it down into regions and segments and all sorts of things. So we really put these hybrids through the ringer before they get out. So I think that's probably the only other thing I'll say is it's really is a team effort getting a hybrid through to the market.
Yeah, a strong team approach to advancement. No, that's great. So thanks, Ben. We'll see you at the next one.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us on Seed 360. Like and follow us for more episodes like this one.